Well, I was speeding along making the right front, and when I got up to this point I realized that was where my last buttonhole should have gone. So I accidentally skipped this one and this one. It happens to everybody, but I'm going to show you how to finish the face buttonhole after the fact. The first thing you do before you close the facing up and fold it over and stitch it down is you need to mark your top buttonhole. Now this one I have in place because I remembered it before I went on. It's 4 rows below the first neck decrease on the Madrid sweater on all the sizes. So if I couldn't find this, I could find the decrease over here on the neckline and count 4 rows from there and find that top button. Boom, put that one in. If you have it, great. Then there's 24 on this size. This is an extra large. There's 24 stitches between buttonholes. I counted 24 rows from here to here and marked this with my marker. And then I counted 24 more down to here and marked it with my marker. Once you have located this part of the buttonhole, you can then duplicate over the complementary part on the facing. Just follow the row all the way across. And so I have technically marked this buttonhole on this row, which is right directly across here. So I will be working on these buttonholes and I'll show you how to work that. This is the step where we're adding the duplicate stitches. Now we want to center 3 stitches on either side, one on the public side and one on the facing side. So I've already marked the inside one, and I'm counting from this center fold line. 2 full stitches. So this is the 3rd stitch right here. So I'm going to come up, so this is the next stitch and the 3rd stitch. So I'm going to come up and trace this stitch. I'm going to leave about 4 inches hanging off the side because I need that to hold its place later. And I'm going to go up and through, and I'm going to come in and duplicate this stitch. Duplicate this stitch, this row, come up in here, and here's my 3rd stitch right there. Now I'm doing it loosely, and I'm going to bring it to the back. Once I get to the back, I'm going to put a clip about 5 inches away from that. That's so that when I work the next half, I have a nice long loop in the middle. Now this one is marking the 3rd stitch on this row. Let's just follow this row across. Okay, so here's 1, 2, here's the first of the stitches that I need to work. So I'm going to bring 1, 2, so here's the 3rd one, and it starts right there. Once I have that established, I can pull it up to where the clip is. And so I'm going to, once again, duplicate this stitch. And I want to make sure it's loose. Go under here. Come back up here. And this is when you take your time to do this, to make sure you've got it right. That's 2. Go under this one here. And my little thing got in the way, so we'll pull that out. And when I finish, I'm going to return right to there where that stitch ends. Now I can unthread my darning needle. So now I have 3 stitches on each side marked, just like I do up here. At this point, you really don't need these markers anymore. So now that our duplicate stitch is in place to mark the next buttonhole that I forgot, I can turn it over, and this is where it gets interesting. Okay, this is what the inside looks like. On this particular row, we have our 3 hole stitches on the top and our 2 stitches, I should say 2 stitches here, and the half one here and the half one here on the bottom. We do want to make sure that we cut the center stitch on each of the sides. I'm just using my crochet hook to pull that stitch up so I can separate it from the duplicate stitch. And I'm using a really highly contrasting color. So that's the stitch that I want to cut. And very carefully snip it right in the middle stitch. Right there. I didn't get all the way through. There. Then you pick that out. You pick that out on both sides. And with this one's just a little more difficult because you want to leave your duplicate stitch in, but you pick that one out so that it ends right there. So we have a clean getaway on it. And then you pick out this side too. If you clip the wrong stitch, then you better be able to move that duplicate stitch over on top of it before you pick it out. Just so you say, because it can happen. But I usually find the loop, and I'll show you on the other side once again. And here, there. So there, our duplicate stitches are really nice and neat. And this, I leave these ends to later to finish. Okay, so what we're looking for is the 3 hole stitches, and then find the center one and cut the loop behind. That's right where, in this case, it's right in front of, because I'm looking at it from the wrong side. Okay, this is the loop that I want to cut. Then pick it out. This is where you want to take your time doing it right, not rushing. Now I'm ready to work on the knitting machine. When I originally videoed the buttonholes on the sweater, I leaned in and blocked the camera's view. Both times. So I'm demonstrating this technique yet again on a swatch. Now, there's 4 sets of strands, and this yarn is particularly difficult to work with because there's 5 strands of yarn being run together to make a bulky weight. But you have to treat them as if they're one strand. So we have one over here, one here, one here, and one here. So now, let's finish the buttonhole. The top edge has its 3 main stitches of waste yarn, but it touches 4 stitches. And we're going to hang those 4 stitches. I always start with the center 2 because they're full stitches. There's the first one and the second one. Here's the one on this end. See how that touches that loop? That one gets hung on this stitch. And on the other side, here's the stitch that's hung on that needle. In addition to that, I'm going to hang yet another stitch. So I'm going to pull out a needle and hang one more on this end. And I'm going to go to this side and hang, let's see, that's that one, this one right here. And they're relatively easy to recognize because this stitch follows up through that, and it's easier to spot. So now I have 6 needles occupied. Now I'm going to go to the other facing side, or this is the public side, this is the facing side, and I'm going to fold it over and along the fold line. Then I'm going to return to the center 2, which is right here and right here. Then I'm going to go to the next stitch over and pick that one up, and one more on this end. On this side, I'm going to pick up that last one that's touched by the waist knitting, and then one more on this side. So I have 6 on both sides. I'm going to pull down my yarn, leaving my end on the right. Now, one of the things that I've done to control the yarn in the past is I tie a knot, and I'm going to leave enough yarn on that end that it's not going to matter that that knot exists. I'm going to put the yarn into my hooks, and I'm pulling back to close the latches around the yarn that's laying in them, and I'm going to simply knit each one of these off. So I now have 6 stitches. Now, bring these needles out, and I'm going to use my latch tool, and starting on the right, pop this one off and pick up the next stitch and pull it through. Now I have to be careful that I get through all 5 of those strands. Pick up the next one, pull that off its needle, and pull it through. Now one of them caught, but it did knit, so I'm going to pop that off. There we go. Go to the next stitch and pull it off. The next one, and the last one. I have to get all 5 strands. There we go. There we go. That loop I'm going to preserve, and I'm going to lengthen it because I need that for later. If you put your finger up around by the fold line, you'll see that there's a little hole. We're going to take this end and tuck it through to the other side, and then just reverse to expose the other side of the buttonhole. On this side, there's a lot of stuff going on. We have all 4 of the strands that we cut that are back here, and you've got to be careful with that. There's 2 on that side, 2 here, and then 2 on this side too. See, there's 1 there, 1 there, so you might want to organize them a little bit. I'm going to pull out 3 needles right now, and as you can see that the fold is now on the left, and here's our loop that was our latching loop, and so we want to make sure that that's nice and long. Okay, so now on the bottom edge you touch 3 full stitches. So I'm going to hang these 3 stitches right onto the machine. There are no half stitches to worry about. Then I'm going to pick up the next stitch in this column, which is this one right here, in this row, and hang that on the next needle. Because it's got 5 strands, there we go. Got to be careful of it. Hang that on that needle. And over on this side, I'm going to get the next stitch in this row, which isn't there, but it's right here, and hang that on that 5th stitch. Now I'm going to come to the other side, and I'm going to pick up the 3 stitches and hang them on the 3 center needles that are in work now. Then I'm going to put these little ends aside, and I'm going to find the next stitch in this row. And that is this one right here where the yarn is coming out of. And on this side I'm going to do the same thing. I'm finding the yarn and the stitch that this one's coming out of, which is this one right here, and hang those on. Now you want to make sure you don't pull any of these ends out. Then I'm going to bring a 6th needle out, and remember that loop that I said that we were going to keep on the side and make it longer? we're going to hang that loop onto the machine. But we are also going to pull up the slack on it. Okay, now, got a lot going on. Now, the reason we take up the slack on it is because we're going to continue to knit with our feeder yarn. So I'm going to open all my latches, lay the yarn in the needles, and except not that sixth one, just the 5 that have the stitches on them. And I'm going to bring those back to close the yarn around it, and we're going to knit these 5 stitches off. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, now we take our latch tool, just like we did before. We're going to pick up this first loop, which is the loop from the latch, and I just lost one of those little strands. There we go. And I'm going to latch these off, one at a time. Okay. Now, when we get to the end, we have just the loop on our hook. We are going to find, now we got a lot of stuff going on here, so we're going to push that out of the way. We have the strand that's our feeder yarn. I'm going to move that to the top, right there. And we have all of our other strands. But one of these strands I put a knot in, if you recall. And that is the one that we tucked through the little hole at the fold. That one we pick up and pull through that loop. And I don't need to tighten it quite yet. I'm not ready to tighten it, but we pulled it through. We can tighten it a little bit, but not much, because we want to check our buttonhole. And you can look through the buttonhole and see nothing but your waste yarn. Now we can turn it back. This is where we take the 2 ends, the end that we pulled through the loop and the end that formed the loop. So we can cut this one, and we can tie a special knot. And we're going to work with all 5 strands. We're going to tie a regular overhand knot. Then we're going to bring the one on the right over the one on the left and tuck this one through to the back, through the loop, and tie that. Now if you want to do another overhand, you can. This is not going to be seen, but we don't tie this knot until we've checked our work. Now, remember this loop here? When we did our waist, when we put our waist in, we can just pull that one side at a time, and that removes our waist yarn. When we turn it inside out, there's our perfect tailored buttonhole. We do need to weave all these ends in. Now I'm just threading up my darning needle as best I can with these, and if I can see where I'm working on the inside, I'll put it right along the seam. But it's almost easier to turn the buttonhole to the outside and bring these ends to the outside. And I'm going to work them right along the seamed part of the buttonhole, right in that really thick part. And that's how you add the forgotten buttonhole. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Please take a moment to subscribe and ring the bell to receive notifications of upcoming videos and events. Happy machine knitting!